Imagine this. You're walking home from school in Boston on a chilly winter day. You've got your mittens on. Your breath is making little clouds in the air. And then suddenly, you hear a loud boom. Before you can even say, "What was that?" you see a giant gooey wave of sticky brown syrup, molasses, racing toward you, as tall as a 2-story house and moving as fast as your parents' car on the highway. It's like a pancake monster broke free from breakfast and is charging through the streets. Welcome to Believe It or Not, the show where weird is real and the truth is stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Bryan, and in today's episode, we're diving into one of the stickiest, strangest disasters in history. It's called the Great Molasses Flood, and trust me, you won't look at pancakes the same way again. Our stories took place on July 15th, 1919, in Boston's North End. The neighborhood was packed with Italian bakeries, horses pulling wagons, and kids playing tag on cobblestone streets. And right in the middle of it all stood a giant metal tank, 50 feet tall, 90 feet wide, full of molasses. How much molasses? About 2.3 million gallons. That's enough to fill almost 4 Olympic swimming pools. Or pour over 3 million bottles of maple syrup on your waffles. And good luck finding that much butter. But the tank had a big problem. It was built cheaply. People in the neighborhood said it rumbled, leaked, and even groaned at night, like it was having some sort of nightmare about breakfast pancakes. So, what did the company do in response? They painted it brown, so the neighbors couldn't see the leaks. Not very smart, right? At 12:40 p.m. that January afternoon, boom! The tank exploded like a giant soda can shaken too hard. And out came the wave. The molasses raced through the streets at 35 miles per hour. That's faster than the world's fastest sprinter. Imagine a tidal wave of syrup taller than a school bus, slamming into buildings, knocking wagons aside, and scooping up anything in its path. One firefighter who responded said it sounded like a machine gun as the rivets popped off the tank. Others thought a train had crashed. Horses got stuck like toy animals in quicksand. Wagons and streetcars were flipped upside down. Kids who tried to run found their shoes glued to the street. In fact, molasses is actually heavier than water, and that meant that people and animals couldn't just swim through it. It was like wading through chocolate pudding mixed with glue. And cleanup was a nightmare. Firefighters sprayed millions of gallons of salt water from the harbor. Workers shoveled for weeks, and every time they thought they were done, another sticky patch showed up. Would you believe that some kids even scooped it up and tasted it? What do you think you would have done? Would you have been so brave to try? Be honest. Now, here's the wildest part. For decades afterward, people swore that on hot summer days, the streets of Boston still smelled like molasses. Even today, some locals say if you walk by the spot on a warm afternoon, you might still catch a whiff of pancakes. Believe it or not. Now it's your turn to think about it. If you were there that day, how would you escape? Would you run for your life? Climb a lamppost? Or maybe jump on a roof? Also, what food would be the worst natural disaster if spilled? Maybe a milkshake tsunami? A giant spaghetti landslide? Or my personal favorite, a pickle juice tidal wave? And lastly, what lesson do you think the city learned about building giant tanks full of sticky stuff right in the middle of the city? Here's a hint. It's got a lot to do with rules and safety checks that now exist for a reason. Now, the takeaway from this story should be that even sweet things can become disasters if people don't build things the right way. That's it for today's episode of Believe It or Not. Join us next time for another surprising true story. In episode 70, we'll leave Boston's sticky streets and jump into a digital adventure. Roblox. Did you know it started nearly 20 years ago? Today, millions of kids create their own worlds, design games, and even earn money while playing. How did Roblox grow from a blocky experiment into one of the biggest playgrounds on Earth? We'll find out. Until then, keep wondering, keep learning, and remember, sometimes the truth is weirder than fiction.